Welcome to
No, what is wrong with you?
Unnecessary Roughness, where we just get comfortable and talk about football. So like, subscribe, hit that like button, okay? Hit that like button and enjoy.
You are disgusting.
Are you surprised?
All right, you guys. Casey, are you lighting Casey, you're lighting a cigarette. Casey, you're smoking a cigarette.
I'm not smoking a cigarette. Just
Casey,
smelling it.
There's a small white stick in your hand that you have applied fire to, and now you're taking a drag on a cigarette, and it's lighting up, and yes, smoke's coming out of your mouth.
Just smelling it.
Does it smell good?
It's what happens when dreams die, Brandon.
Does it relieve the pain a little bit? You know, I hate to say this, I really do, because I never smoked. Cigarettes really do make you look pretty cool. They really, look, they really do. It sucks because they'll kill you. They'll kill you.
Brandon, so will drinking, but guess what? That hasn't stopped me.
No, it hasn't. All right, you about ready?
Yeah, no, I'm actually not going to smoke a cigarette. I needed to do it for a dramatic effect because my life and dreams are over.
Hi. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast with me, Brandon Walker, and the other host, Casey Smith. And we're both happy because our teams both completed big comebacks tonight. One was down 15, one was down 28-3. And here we are.
I feel like one team has lost to Liberty and the other team hasn't.
You mean Memphis?
Memphis, you're right. Fuck.
Yeah, it's okay. You're
one
all...
team. Okay. One team did beat Alabama.
If you want to, I wasn't.
Honestly, I don't even want to brag. I don't even want to brag.
I don't know that you can talk crap to. I don't think you can talk crap to me.
Oh no, I absolutely cannot. Tonight was a travesty. What do you want from me? It wasn't the worst travesty for me all night though.
When it was 15, when it was 15-0, and then it was 15-10, and you guys were coming back, I had written out this comeback kids thing, and it was going to be the best podcast. We were going to have fun, and then y'all ruined it, didn't you?
No, we do. We do those things. I know that the whole don't say battered Aggie syndrome. This is battered Aggie syndrome. This is being
a football fan. It's not
bad.
No,
this is today I'm sitting on the stream talking about, A&M can make it to Atlanta. Oh, this is how it's going to happen. No, this is what fucking happens. It's fine.
This show is brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer, the best in the world. She's got the black cherry right there at her house, making herself feel better. And it is the best drink. It is real juice, real vodka for real people like you and me. They got the best flavors. They got the best drinks. Check them out. They make a bad Saturday better. All right. So here we go. Week 11. Yes.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you raised your hand.
No, I knew what you were going to say, so I just wanted to.
Well, it's one of those things, and I'm going to get into all my takes, but you can plan out everything you're going to do. You can sit there for 2 hours and make meticulous notes about what happened in the noon slate, what happened in the 3 o'clock slate, what happened early in night, and then college football just grabs you by the neck, and you don't know going into the day you're going to be absolutely enthralled at Kansas, Texas. You don't know that you're going to end the night watching a 30-point dog who hasn't won a Big 12 game in ever beat Texas.
5,000 days, I believe, what they said on the broadcast. Here's my thing, is that I, as an Aggie, can't completely talk shit.
Right.
But I can, because there's tiers to this shit, right? Like
there's levels. A road loss to number 12 is not really in the same stratosphere as a home loss to a 30-point underdog who hasn't beaten anybody.
To Kansas.
There are certain programs in this country that are bad. UConn's bad. Vanderbilt's bad.
I love how Jack was like, fine, I'll take that.
Yeah, but see, there are bad programs, but then there's Kansas, right? Like Kansas is like a level of its own bad. Like losing to Kansas is drop your program bad. And credit to them, man. They went on the road and they got it. We will talk about Texas, Kansas later, but it just goes to show you that whatever you think about college football, it can turn itself on its ear in a heartbeat and make you just absolutely stop what you're doing to watch a 4-5 team against a 1-8 team and be happy as hell.
We delayed this podcast by like 20 minutes because of Kansas, Texas. That will tell you how crazy that is. But also bigger picture, and I know we'll talk about Oklahoma losing today too, but the Big 12 in general, after what we watch, I mean, all year we're like, well, what's Texas going to do or who are they going to upset? I mean, the Big 12 is a disaster.
I disagree with that vehemently. Wholeheartedly.
Well, okay, so you're going to talk about Oklahoma State, obviously.
Of course I am. What happened today was the pretender got out of the way, and now we can talk about the actual contender.
But Brandon, don't you know that the way the beautiful world of college football is about to happen is that Oklahoma is going to beat Oklahoma State at Bedlam?
Well, that's very possible, I guess, but I still think Oklahoma State is the better team and should have had the spotlight to begin with. We put it on Oklahoma because they haven't lost, but now we shift our attention in the Big 12 from the one that was supposed to wear the glass slipper to the one that's actually going to wear it. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pretty sure I'm not, Oklahoma has a very tough road. Well, let me just say this. If Oklahoma State wins Bedlam, Oklahoma's going to get shut out of the Big 12 title game.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to talk about that. That wasn't first, because when I talk about November 13th in college football, where does it start? To me, it starts with the Michigan Wolverines. It starts with a team. This was a prove it Saturday, okay? You're ranked number 6. You're ahead of Michigan State. You got to prove it. Your resume isn't that great. So what do you do to prove it? You're on the road against Penn State. And Penn State, while unranked, is still a good football team. And Michigan went on the road. It was never pretty, but nobody predicted it to be pretty. It didn't have to be pretty. It never does have to be pretty. They went on the road. They went up against the test. They passed the test. And now they have done their part so far to set up a massive game later down the road. But this was a prove it moment, and Michigan went on the road and proved it.
This was also a huge moment for the Big Ten, because when you look at the way the rest of the day played out, you know, it's like our 2 SEC teams in, 2 Big Ten teams in. Obviously, Alabama is still sitting there, and we can talk about that later. But Michigan did what it needed to do. Michigan State still has that loss. So now, I feel like we're just gearing up for Thanksgiving weekend between Ohio State and Michigan State. Now, Ohio State looked unbelievable today. Now, I know they were playing Purdue, fine, but they took care of business the way we talk about the eye test. But Michigan winning today just made it more interesting for the Big Ten West. And now we just have to sit back and wait and watch those things play out. Michigan State plays Ohio State next week, fine. But Michigan winning today makes it more interesting.
To me, it is about what happens in a couple of weeks when Ohio State plays Michigan. It is set up to basically be a de facto playoff game, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But I am somebody who didn't believe in Michigan before today, and I don't know how much I believe in them now, but that doesn't matter, because they are now force you to respect them. They force you every time you say, well, I don't know how good they are. That defense fucks, man. That defense, Aiden Hutchinson and Ojabo, the best 2 defensive end combination in the country. They had 7 sacks today. They went on the road. But why are you smiling and laughing so much?
I'm looking at Jack's face, and I know he just wants to just be like, yeah, we've been telling you that.
Neither of you have been telling me that. Neither of you have said. Neither of you have.
You've been saying that they're a good football team. No?
Neither of you have been able to give me any reason they were good. Neither of you have known why you thought they were so good. Neither of you.
They're a better football team across the board. That their defense is better and that their offense is better and that they outgained Michigan State in every single phase.
But their offense isn't better than Michigan State. Anyway, that's another. I'm giving them credit here. Their offense isn't better than Michigan State. That's just an objective fact.
Well, that's not true.
That's an objective fact.
Did they not outgain Michigan State by like almost 100?
They did that day, but in the long term.
Okay. The reason I'm smiling is because Jack was just looking at you just like, so you're saying what we've been saying? Jack?
So yeah, I'm saying that I was wrong about Michigan so far. Yeah, I don't know how much intelligence does this take to realize what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Then why are you arguing with me?
The way you're approaching this is like neither you, not so much Jack. He's not talking, but you haven't been able to tell me why Michigan's good all year.
That they're a better football team. We've been arguing about Michigan versus Michigan State.
But that's the reason you always give me, because they're a better football team.
Are you not talking about how their defense is two of the best defensive players in the country?
This I don't like this argument. This is.
Are you not? Did you not just say that?
I did, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna. I'll level down. I'll level down
for a second. I know you're muted right now. Can you speak for a second? Am I just off my rocker?
This is a dumb conversation. We laid out probably in past podcasts why we thought they were better, and Brandon has said tonight that he may have come around on that take. I think we'll get to Ohio State. I was coming around on the take
before she stopped me. I bragged about it.
We'll get to Ohio State eventually, I assume. That's what it'll come down to. I think Michigan State also played pretty well tonight.
For sure. But
Michigan, yeah. I mean, whatever. It's like whatever. Like, I think Michigan Brandon let off the show with them. They are the winners of today. We did lay out a few episodes ago why we thought they were better. I think that's just not true, Brandon. I don't know if that's like a shtick of yours, like you're saying right now.
It's not a shtick. No.
We laid out multiple times why I thought they were a better team.
So, Brandon, I know you love to keep track of things that I say on every single podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You like to keep tallies, right?
I have a scoreboard, yes.
I know you do. So this one is, and you get to it at some point, but this one is about how many times I talk about being in the gambling cave today, right?
Right.
Did you notice what hoodie I was wearing today?
Did you have your bare bottom on?
I did. I love bare bottom. And I think, did you have one on too?
I did not have it on. I had it with me.
Lefty Lowe did. That's who it was. Like, somebody else had one on. Bare bottom hoodies are so comfortable, and it's cold outside now. And it's just like, you just want to be comfortable. You're sitting around watching football, and it's the most comfortable, made to last menswear. But like, girls are loving the oversized shit right now. Yeah. I'm wearing a medium bare bottom hoodie. Amazing.
And it's not just hoodies. They also have these great long sleeve t-shirts that are incredible. Their colors just pop. Like, I wear their blue and the eyes just go crazy. I got their green. They got the best t-shirts in the game.
I've seen your eyes pop with that blue.
Yeah, my eyes pop. I got beautiful baby blues, but
I do. And hey, blue brings them out. I have you just mentioned the green. I have a hunter green long sleeve that I love to tie around my waist. The guys in the office are all wearing bare bottom right now. Everything is built for value. You get the softest and stretchiest, which is important, by the way, especially in the winter. You know, people are putting on a little bit of maybe some comfort weight. Maybe you're losing weight, whatever. It's the stretchiest clothes in the game. And you're doing some good in the process because, Brandon, every single time you wear bare bottoms, each item you purchase, a nutritious school meal for a child in need.
Oh, that's nice.
It is. I mean, it's incredibly nice. Like, you're comfortable, you look cute, you look trendy. Girls can wear it, guys can wear it, whatever. And you're also helping children in need right now. So for a limited time, Bare Bottom is giving you an incredibly, and we say this, we love it, incredibly soft tech tee or neutral tie-dye for free when you spend $150. And we've been saying this, and like, girls that are listening to me, I love the guys' shirts because I can either wear them to sleep, I can wear them for comfort over my leggings, I can tie them around my waist, or the guys all look great in them. It makes your arms look big. It's fantastic. Right now, $150, you get a free shirt. So go and also get 10% off with your first order by going to barebotting.com/Walker.
Yeah.
BEAR, like the animal, barebottomclothing.com/Walker.
The day belongs to Michigan, period. I think they showed a lot today. Not only winning the game, but being down in the fourth quarter and that last drive where I didn't think they were going to score, and they have the 37, maybe 47-yard pass to all the tight end. He scores a touchdown. But as much as Michigan proved it, when push came to shove and their nuts were on the line, they proved it. Another team who was number 8 and undefeated proved that what they've shown us all year was not fake. Oklahoma confirmed everything we saw this year when they went on the road to Baylor and got their ass beat.
And again, I know we don't like credit, but credit to you for saying that. I didn't even realize, and I know we were watching 7 different games at the time, the fact that they pulled Caleb Williams to put Spencer Rattler in. I didn't realize it for like 2 series because we were watching other games. That's how bad this OU team was down, that the fans were chanting, "Give us Spencer." That is this Oklahoma team that, and I know Katie, you and I were on the same page with it. They're going to change their offense. They have Caleb Williams now. They just stink. They're just not good. And it doesn't matter who plays quarterback for them. And then Lincoln Riley doing what he did at the end of the game, and there was that whole just shit show. They don't deserve to be in the playoff, and at least now they've lost because they can't be in it now.
Presumably correct.
No, I don't think there's a way they could be, right?
Never, ever, ever say there's not a way for Oklahoma.
Fair,
Oklahoma is like they got 9 lives on this playoff thing. So just they're pretty much eliminated, but whatever. I
guess unless they played Baylor in the Big 12 championship somehow and won, I don't see how they can.
Never, ever count out Oklahoma until they get like their 3rd loss. The committee loves it.
Okay, fair.
But to me, what we saw today was we all assumed Caleb Williams was going to be the savior, and now can he win the Heisman? Can he win the Heisman? Can he win the Heisman? They just don't have that guy this year. And every time Oklahoma gets a new quarterback, we assume he's going to be plugged into their Heisman machine. He's going to be it. But the last 2 now, Spencer Rattler, which can't close the book on Caleb Williams, he's a freshman. But to just assume that he's going to jump in there and be a Heisman-worthy player because he plays Oklahoma and he's a 5-star freshman, not fair to him, not fair to anybody else, and that's kind of what we do.
Absolutely. And I mean, hand up. I buried Oklahoma when Spencer Rattler was still the quarterback. I was like, they're done. Caleb Williams comes in. I'm like, no, they're going to win the Big 12. They're going to go undefeated. They're going to be in the playoff contention. Clearly not. And I mean, Baylor it wasn't close to me. Like Baylor just made them look stupid all day.
Dave Aranda.
By the way, can I say something about Dave Aranda?
Sure.
He looks like he would beat everyone's ass. I said this on the stream today. Does he not have like Derek Mason vibes where you're just like, if you got in a fight with him, he would just murder you?
Yeah, no, he's got some tough guy look to him.
It's not even the look, it's the vibe.
But so Dave Aranda's the real deal at Baylor. I mean, what are they, 8-2 now? They're a good football team. They've turned it around very, very quickly. But I was wondering your take on what happened at the end. Actually, everybody here. So Lincoln Riley's got his feelings hurt. Oh, poor baby Lincoln Riley's got his little feelings hurt, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, my basic view on that was like the only way to avoid a situation like that is to win. So like, and also like complaining about that, you play. This goes back to how back in the like when I was in high school, teams would get in trouble if they won by too many points. Like you play to win a football game, and the objective of a football game is to score points. And like these kids who are playing get to play like X number of football games in their life. If the kicker wants to go out there and kick a field goal along with the coach deeming that it's important, then he should be able to go out there and kick a field goal. And if you don't like it, you have a defense out there to stop it. So like grow up, like stop being a little child.
Yeah, no, it's also, he argued, he said, why was there a 15-yard penalty for them rushing the field and everything? Lincoln Riley just was kind of a baby back bitch today. And I'll get to Lincoln Riley a little bit more in our last segment of the show. But I'm starting to really, and I mean really, question the pedestal we put Lincoln Riley on. And I've been questioning it the whole time, but we're getting to the end of another season where they're still soft. They're still getting out toughed on the football field. and he's bitching and whining because a new coach has come into Baylor and turned them around quick and has beaten his ass. And he's whining, he's bitching, he's complaining, and he's never won a goddamn thing at Oklahoma.
We were talking about, and I say we, the collective group of football minds, we're talking about him taking the Cowboys job when Jason Garrett got fired. You're like, oh, well, it's got to be Lincoln Riley. I mean, obviously, look what he's doing at Oklahoma. And I mean, again, like I've been an Oklahoma person, but I can't figure out what it is. And the issue that I did have with today at the end of the game, and you can go back and watch it, but we didn't have the sound on when we were in the gambling cave. So we were trying to figure out like exactly what was going on. When you go back and look at the scenario that played out at the end of that game, he looks like such an asshole. Like, what are we talking about? But he was going to be the next Dallas Cowboys coach because he won a couple of games at Oklahoma.
If you took a straw poll of every American sports writer that covers college football, every ESPN announcer, every Fox announcer, everybody that is related to college football, and you said who are the top 5 coaches in college football, Lincoln Riley would be on 90% of ballots. He would be on 95% of ballots.
Right now, tonight, you think that?
Across the board, people think he's a top 5 football coach in college football. Where is the evidence of that? Somebody tell me.
It's the Heisman machine that we've talked about, but
that's
argue
stupid and phony and doesn't matter.
November 14th, I do not believe he would be in the top 5 of 90% of ballots right now.
I guarantee you he would.
But I mean, he's won how many Big 12 titles? He's had how many Heisman winners? He's been in the college football playoff how many times? If Lincoln Riley's not won anything, what's Brian Kelly won? Like, what's half of the coaches won? Like, then if we're playing that game, then we have a situation that the only team play or like coaches we can put in the top 5 are Nick Saban, Coach O, Matt Brown, Jimbo.
I don't think the blocks of your argument are correct and solid and sound. Yes, he has won something, but relative to the recruits he gets, relative to his spot in football, relative to what Oklahoma gets, I feel like he's not. If you are as good a coach as he is propped up to be, if you get recruits as good as they get, if you have support as good as Oklahoma has, you need to be in the national championship contending mix. And even when he gets to the playoff, he's not really a national championship contender. So he is a good coach. I don't know that he's a top 5 coach in this country because he's underachieving is what he's doing based on what he should be doing, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I would still say, like, how many we talked about Texas. How many coaches has Texas had since Lincoln Riley's taken over?
I don't know what that matters at all.
Well, I mean, that's a their direct rival that gets very similar.
So he's been
very similar recruits. Like, I mean, like,
he's been better than Texas's coaches.
Yeah, significantly, like astronomically. I think that's a very fair comparison.
Here's my question, and I again, like, I do not think that right now on this date people would say Lincoln Riley's a top 5 coach. But if we were going to do this, I mean, who are the top 5 coaches in college football right now?
Oh, hell, I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and think about it.
I mean, it's Nick Saban. It's even though Clemson's down,
Nick
it's
Saban,
Dabo.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan Day probably has an argument, although he would. It would be hard to separate him and Lincoln Riley. I'd think about it. I'm just saying across the board, I feel like Lincoln Riley kind of underachieves based on where we put him.
They underachieve on the national scale for sure, but if you take it, and again, it's all about the Power 5 conference shit. If you look at what he's done in the Big 12, then absolutely. But what happened today was showing that they're not. I mean, we've been talking like, oh, they're going to go undefeated. They're going to try to make a case for the playoff. Clearly not. I'm just interested to see how it plays out because now Bedlam has so much more weight to it than we even thought that it would.
I don't think that's true, but
it is because they have a loss now.
Yeah, but if they had been undefeated and Oklahoma State had one loss, I think that would have had a little bit more weight.
Well, right, but like now who's going to play in the Big 12 championship?
Right, but I'm just saying it almost would have been like a playoff game at that point, where this way it's not going to be.
Well, no, but whoever wins Bedlam now is going to play in the Big 12 championship. That could be a playoff game.
Let's go with also in the Big 12. You talk about big nuts. You talk about big performances. Texas Tech had a kid kick a 62-yard field goal today to win the football game. 62 yards. I would be mad if my coach lined up for a 62-yard field goal with the game on the line. I would think this guy's lost his mind.
62 yards.
His name is Jonathan Garibay, and he drilled it. Texas Tech. The reason I bring them up this high in the show is I want to ask this question: Are they kind of reinventing the way you make a coaching change? Like Texas Tech fired their coach or got rid of their coach in the middle of the season. Right in the middle of the season, they were 5-3, fired him, and then they hired a guy, before in early November, and it seems like that hire has given them a shot of momentum and a shot of excitement and enthusiasm. And then they come out and beat Iowa State today, and their new coaches, like in the locker room celebrating with them. And this kicker does this. Texas Tech, all of a sudden, they now are a month ahead of most coaching searches. They got their guy, they got excitement, they got fans buying back in, and they're going to go into recruiting like this. Do we see the coaching carousel start earlier from now on?
Especially when in the state, he was as big of a deal as he is. And I know we talked about this last podcast. We're like, oh, well, nobody knows who he was. And we admitted that. But I mean, yes, it's just one game and I get that. But in specific states, like the state of Texas, that is a big deal. And now you're looking at this team is all of a sudden like reinvigorated. I don't know. I feel like we might be jumping the gun too quickly.
No. I mean, that guy made that kick for bowl eligibility today. They're going to get a whole month of practice now with their new coach.
Yards.
Yeah.
A college kicker, 62 yards.
And college kickers get a lot of shit, right? It's a meme. College kickers.
Yeah. 62 yards.
And this guy, I mean, that's big nuts.
NFL kickers line up in like the 55 to 58 range. We're like, like 62 yards, a Texas Tech kicker, a guy in Lubbock, Texas.
What would Lubbock, Texas?
I mean, if you play at Texas Tech, you live in Lubbock.
So
no offense to Lubbock, but I mean.
But you said that Texas Tech had a huge fire. What about them letting Iowa State come all the way back and have to make the 62-yard field goal instead of just blowing them out to begin with?
I don't think that matters. I mean, that's football. That's football.
Well, what were they today? Like 14? What were they, underdogs?
They were 12.5-point underdogs, I think.
Yeah,
12 or 10 and a half, somewhere in there.
I mean, Iowa State was like a national title contender coming into the year. They were a dark horse, but like I would say, even if they lost that game, you'd be like, okay, we got some things here. I mean, like a great team with a quarterback who's been there for 4 years and Breece Hall come back on us, like not the end of the world.
That was the best Ohio State showing of the season. Ohio State has been a team that has blown out really shitty teams and then has struggled with pretty much every non-shitty team they faced. Well, today they faced a non-shitty team. Purdue is a non-shitty team. They're not a bad football team at all. They're now 6-4, and they've got 2 wins over previously top 5 teams. And Ohio State just treated them like children, like a junior high team. Ohio State finally flexed their muscle against a decent team and showed why they are the preeminent national title contender in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
It got to the point where when we were watching it, it looked like replays every time they would score. We're like, wait. Is that in real time? No. Was that a replay? No, it was in real time. Ohio State looked so good. And now Purdue did put up points on them, by the end of the day. Like, that's fine. CJ Stroud in that offense, we were like, are they susceptible? Like, what are they going to do? Looked unreal. And Brandon, your take on Ohio State being able to bury Michigan and Michigan State that you've been saying for weeks looked real today.
Especially Michigan State. Michigan State has one of the worst pass defenses in the Big Ten. I don't think they have a chance against Ohio State. Michigan can make CJ Stroud uncomfortable, so that's a different animal altogether. That Michigan has a skill set up front that changes game plans offensively. But
But at least like they looked like that team that you were saying that would dominate the division no matter
Correct.
what.
Yes. I mean, listen, they have a quarterback who's getting better every week. They have the best running back room in the country, and they have the best wide receiver room in the country by a significant margin. I think today it was Garrett Wilson's turn. He had 4 touchdowns, but next week Chris Olave could have 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Smith and Jigba could have. Last week it was him with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, they're so good and so deep at receiver. They just, I don't see how you stop them.
Where do you rank them as the best offenses in the country right now?
I think as far as contenders go, they're easily the best offense in the country. Maybe there's some small colleges or small teams that, relative to their competition, have good offenses. But I think
contenders.
I think this is the most talented offense in the country because C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback, and he's far and away their weakest link. Travion Henderson might be the most talented running back in the country. Their receivers are the best in the country. Their offensive line is the best in the country. Like, they're ridiculously talented across the board.
I agree with you. And I still think Michigan will put up a fight. Today, watching the way that Ohio State just dominated everything on offense and also defense as well, but on offense, it was just like, no, there's no question. Like, they have the most talented guys for sure. And you could put Heisman trophies in hands of like 3 or 4 of those guys, probably. Brandon, you've done
Yes, I love Hooters. I love Hooters, Casey.
You've done a lot of things at this company, and I was going to say you spent a lot of time there, but you just jumped in front of me because you love the Hooters.
Oh, yeah, it's a restaurant too, and it's a good one. It's a restaurant that has wings and the best food, incredible fried pickles, great tater tots. I love going and watching football at a Hooters.
Also, ice cold beer. Don't forget. They give
Ice cold beer and TVs everywhere.
Ice cold beer. And guess what, Brandon? If you can't make it to the Hooters for the game, you can still get your Hooters fix at home, and you can just save $10 with the code Barstool when you order online. So if you're like, oh, I can't make it out to Hooters and see the hot girls, which why you wouldn't want to, I don't know. You're like, but I want those fried pickles because they are the best in the game. You can just order it online.
And it's not expensive. You get it right to your house. They're quick, they're fast, they're easy, and they're good. But I would recommend going to the restaurant and seeing the Casey. I didn't mean to say that. Let's just move on. Let's just move on with our lives here. Okay. You need to go to the restaurant, and you need to see the people, and you need to have a good time at Hooters.
Check out Hooters.com/Barstool for details.
Speaking of the gambling cave today, Mincy added me on Twitter, so let the Egg Bowl smack talk begin. We're gonna beat their fucking ass. We're not gonna choke like Texas A&M did. Anyway, the gambling stream today. Big T made Rico leave, huh?
Brandon, can I please tell you how awful and funny it was to watch what happened? Because you when you were there, we were praising Big T about how he's so soft-spoken, he's so sweet, and Rico was kind of talking shit. And Dave didn't even realize until it was brought up that Big T wasn't there for the Tennessee game, which Dave's biggest play of the day was, which obviously failed. But they called Big T in. It took a while because the traffic for some reason in and out of New York was even worse than it normally was today. And when he walked in, he might have upset Rico a little bit, and it exploded quicker. Like, I mean, I know Rico's temper, and I love Rico. Like, Rico and I are good friends. Like, I'm not getting into like the writer versus non-writer, whatever. Rico and I are good friends. What I saw today was the quickest reaction I've ever seen go from 0 to 200 because of one comment.
Yeah, no, he's insane.
You saw the whole thing, right?
Yeah, he's insane. He's insane. He's not sane.
He was mad because Big T called him Terry. Yeah. And then it was all of a sudden like there was microphones almost being thrown in faces, and
he threw a very expensive microphone right down on the floor, like, because he didn't respect it. He's insane.
And he also he bowed up, and Big T was just like, well, I'm not going to do anything. And it was a very bizarre scene. Again, Rico, love you. quick fuse.
He's insane.
I'm not going to say that because I don't want him to be mad at me. Because
Okay. Well, I will say you're insane.
he also doesn't like you, right?
Oh, me and him like each other on a personal level incredibly well.
Okay,
But
fair.
I've told him multiple times, his stupid beefs and his little petty shit is just going to ruin him. It's the dumbest thing.
Today was insane. Like today was one of those things where like I looked at Dave multiple times. It was like, what happened? And we didn't know. And then all of a sudden Big T was just like, well, I hope Terry's okay with it. And that's, I guess, but regardless, Big T showing up today. We thought Tennessee would put on a showing, and they did not.
So I've skirted around it. I haven't talked about it enough, but I mean, 28-3. It was 28-3. It was. We are the best team with a bad record in college football.
What about Nebraska?
No, we're much better than Nebraska. We are much better than Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska's fine. They're fine for their record, but we're 6-4, going to be 7-4, then going to be 8-4. And the Memphis loss was bullshit. The Arkansas loss was bullshit. And like, we just beat Auburn's ass. Like, it was 28-3, and we won by nearly double digits. Like, it wasn't even, we didn't win at the end. We didn't win in overtime. We had a double-digit lead at one point.
You know what hurt your cause tonight?
What? A&M losing? No, that doesn't hurt our cause. That doesn't matter at all.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Because
why does that matter? We're not trying to get in the playoff. That doesn't matter at all.
Well, because A&M beat Auburn last week.
Who cares?
I mean, I do think that it matters because now it looks like Ole Miss is that good of a team.
They're not, though. That hell. In fact, when we beat their ass, it's going to look better because they're going to be 9-2 when we beat them, and it's going to help us.
Fair enough. I mean, I bet on Mississippi State, so I'm not upset. I mean, 40 unanswered points is crazy.
It was 28-3.
Crazy.
Then it was 43-28.
I mean, it doesn't even matter like what tier of college football you're talking about, but you're talking about a Power 5 conference, the SEC, 40 unanswered points.
And two things. I have slow played it, but Will Rogers is incredible. And yes, he's a system quarterback, but it still takes a skilled guy to be that good within that system. You see guys in the system that aren't this good, this fast. He's still in his first calendar year as a quarterback in the system, and he looks incredible. 6 touchdowns today, 400 yards. He was awesome.
What did I say to you at the end of that game?
I have no idea.
I pointed and I said, Brandon, everything you've been saying is right.
Yeah.
And anyone who says he's not going to be a Heisman contender next year is wrong.
I did say it. I think next year he will be a legitimate Heisman contender.
I mean, how could he not with these numbers? And I know, and Dave tried to poo-poo it and was like, well, if you're a Mike Leach quarterback, then you should be putting up these numbers. This is what Mike Leach does. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But now it's in the SEC. And now, like, I mean, if Mississippi State can put together a good season, Will Rogers has to be in New York.
Well, I mean, Mike Leach also creates Heisman contenders. Like Gardner Minshew finished 4th in the Heisman. And if he did it, Will Rogers can do it. But can we talk about Auburn for a second? Jack, me and you didn't watch the game together. I assume you did watch the game. Can somebody tell me in what universe, what the fuck was Brian Harsin doing? Do you know what I'm talking about, Jack? I'm not going to say what it is because I want to see if Jack knows what I'm talking about.
No, I do not.
Okay.
Please lay it out.
43-28. Auburn scores a touchdown.
We had this huge and everyone was on one side but Dave.
With 3 minutes left, they scored a touchdown to go down 9. They went for 2. They didn't get it. So they're down, instead of being down 8, 1 score, they're down 43-34. They're down 9. They're down 2 scores with 3 minutes left. I don't know why he did that.
I don't hate that because you want to have as much information as possible for how you're going to win a football game. So I get both sides of the equation, but you go for 2 there, then you know you're down 9 or you're down 7. I do also understand it from a perspective of morale, though. There is this idea, like the guy, maybe the guy who was there who disagreed was Evan Bosanko, who's more like an analytical mind, where you want more, and it's an idea within like the analytical community that is not always correct, which is you want to have as much information as possible. However, and you're delaying that information by going for 2 later in the game, but you're also messing with team morale if you don't make it.
But here's the thing, Jack, like, here's my question. And I know Brandon's going to have a whole thing because obviously this is his argument, but why would you not give your team the morale of kicking the extra point and being down by 1 score and be like, hey, all we have to do is get in the end zone 1 more time versus we're down by 2 scores now?
Well, I mean, my argument would be like, you're football players and you should be playing like just as hard no matter the situation. But I understand what you're saying. Team morale does come into it, and that's something that has to weigh on your mind as a coach. So I think
it's a game of momentum. It's a game of momentum.
Agreed.
And if you make it an 8-point game, I feel like going for 2 at home. I feel like scoring later and going for 2 in that moment, you have such momentum built up that it increases your chances, where at that point he was trying to create momentum out of thin air. And as soon as he didn't get it, that game was over. The place was deflated. Whatever. They were going to lose the game anyway, I feel like, but it's an interesting call because it was boom or bust. And he busted. And Auburn fans have been on the Brian Harsin can do no wrong train. I have to imagine a lot of them didn't agree with that call. So there it is. All right.
What I don't understand, and even the analytics side of things, it still does not make sense to me why you would purposely put your team in a situation where they're going to be down by 2 scores.
You play to win the game, and you go
right, then
into the 2-point conversion thinking you're going to make it. You have a 55% chance or so of making it. It's more likely than not. You go into that thinking that you're going to make the conversion. So it's now a 7-point game where now it's also a possibility that if you score again, you can go for 2 again and win the game. That's what the basic overview would be.
So we're back to Texas. They were number 6 on the list. When I was making the list, it was before their game ended. I wrote, Texas, are they really going to fucking do this? Question mark. So I got to go back to my notes. Yes.
Yes. Put a gigantic green check mark. Just
now, I have 2 different takes on this. They are diametrically opposed to each other. Number 1 is for Texas fans. I know what this looks like, and it's awful. It's freaking embarrassing. It's terrible. It's rock bottom stuff. But I would remind you of 2007 Alabama. 2007 Alabama in Nick Saban's first year lost to UL Monroe at home. That's rock bottom. That's bottoming out. And by 2009, they were in the BCS National Championship game winning it. Yes, Casey.
You're comparing Steve Sarkisian to Nick Saban?
I am in this instance, yes. I'm comparing 2 coaches in their first year at downtrodden programs trying to change the culture and turn things around.
Can I guess nobody in nobody in 2005 and 2004 and 2006 was like, Alabama's back. Like, that's what they've been doing with Texas.
You have got that one all wrong.
They were saying that, like, to the point where it was like, if
every single time Alabama would get any momentum as a program, they were back. Like, I think Shula won 10 games or 9 games in 2004 or 5, and you thought that everything was back and everything was right, and then it fell apart again.
I will say, I think that my issue as a social media person is that we didn't get to see it like we do. Like, Texas gets embarrassed on a daily basis because of the Texas is back thing from like 4 years ago. Like, I do believe that. However, Texas fans, even earlier this year, like when they lost to Arkansas and then A&M lost to Arkansas, and it was just like, no, they're not that bad. You don't lose to Kansas. Like, you don't lose.
So my point was Texas is bottoming out, but give a guy in his first year a break. On the other side, Texas hired Steve Sarkisian. He has now lost 5 in a row at Texas for the first time since 1956. And guess who else hired a new coach this offseason? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Kansas. Yeah.
Kansas hired Lance Leipold, who took over a rotting corpse of a program, who took over the lowest of the low and walked into Austin tonight and won. If you're a Kansas fan, you have to be absolutely ecstatic over where this guy is starting to the real estate you're starting to tread with this guy in year one.
Well, think about how, before this week, we were talking about, and Oklahoma did lose, but it was like, oh, we'll see what Kansas did to Oklahoma and see how bad Oklahoma played against Kansas. How could we possibly put them in the playoff contention? Oklahoma ended up winning for sure, but then Kansas ends up beating Texas. And you're like, wait a minute, this team is not just like a fluky, like, oh, we put Oklahoma on the fence for a second because they didn't give a fuck about us. They're actually like, I'm not going to say they're a decent football team, but they can actually upset these powerhouses in the conference.
They have 2 wins, which is way better than we thought. Yes, Jack.
They're bad though.
They're bad. Yes, they're bad.
Yes.
They're not Kansas bad.
They're not Kansas bad if they almost upset Oklahoma and they upset Texas.
What if the Kansas Jayhawks just hate the SEC?
Yeah.
And they're like, what if Kansas is actually just a super secret mole built to take down the SEC?
I have an idea. Bob Bowlesby called up Kansas and said, hey, listen, we will pay you astronomical amount of money if you can just embarrass either Oklahoma or Texas, one or the other. We will give you so much fucking money you don't know what to do with it. And they're like, okay, we'll try. They almost beat Oklahoma and then they beat Texas. They're like, all right, our James Bond job is done.
So I got to pull up their last 2 games. Texas has lost 5 in a row for the first time since 1956. That's pretty stunning in itself. That's a long ass time ago. They've lost to Kansas, which is the most embarrassing thing at Texas. I don't know if there's anything more embarrassing. Earlier this month, they had a stripper monkey pole assassin thing, and that doesn't even compare with losing to Kansas on the football field.
You know what I noticed on Twitter tonight? Texas fans weren't even trying to defend it. That's when you know it's bad.
You can't.
Well, no, like the pole assassin, they're like, oh, Texas is living rent free, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's a monkey. If you lose to Kansas as 30-point favorites, you simply cannot defend it. It doesn't matter what else happened. It doesn't matter who else lost, who else won, whatever else happened. You just lost to Kansas as 30-point favorites. Period.
Texas is 4-6. Their last 2 games are at West Virginia and home to Kansas State.
They're not going to a bowl game.
No, they're not going to a bowl game. They're absolutely not going to a bowl game. All right. Speaking of, I feel like we are entering the dying days of Dan Mullen at Florida. Last week, he fired his offensive line coach, fired his defense coordinator to save his ass, and he showed up today. I guess he fired his whole defense because they didn't have one today.
Brandon, I ask you at halftime, is there a chance he could not be coming out for the second half? Like, I legitimately thought they might fire him at halftime after what happened. And I'm not just being like sarcastic or over dramatic. Like that was a game after what happened last week and they lost to South Carolina the way that they did, that they would just be like, you know what? Don't even fucking come out here because it doesn't even matter. Like, you're done anyways. Like, let's just see what they do with the interim assistant coaches.
Can I just take, first of all, Dan Mullen, if he loses to Missouri or Florida State, which is very possible, he's going to be gone.
Very possible for both of them.
So Saturdays, I don't know if you've noticed it, but although you had a reply, just like I feel like the vitriol and the absolute burners and the social media DMs I get on Saturday are more outlandish and crazy and pathetic than I ever get on any other weekday. But ever since we beat Auburn, my DMs are just full of sad ass Auburn fans. Will Kushner just DMs me, your program is a joke. What? Let's see. This guy, Auburn memes, clown.
Tell him, read your tweet earlier, because it got in Auburn circles for real, like really deep. And I think your tweet, them reading the tweet almost hurt them more than blowing the 28-3 lead.
That was a good tweet.
Brandon,
yeah,
honestly,
I think it was a great tweet. For people that may not be on Twitter or may not have seen it, I'll get it.
Oh no, I got it.
Okay, yeah, read it.
You took their loss, and I just because I have a lighter here. You took their loss and you just
lit
it on fire. I had to do it for dramatic effect. But what you said tonight was so much worse than the actual loss. But you're also right. Like, I mean, trolls are just out in general.
Well,
you poured so much salt in that wound on that fire that they don't know what to do with themselves.
I just don't know if I get enough credit for being an elite troll.
Oh boy.
I don't think I do. I don't get enough credit for being an elite troll.
Wait, hold on. Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
You're gonna be mad at me for saying this.
Okay.
You're an elite troll. However, you care about how people respond to your trolling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then you're not an elite troll. If you're an elite troll, you don't give a fuck. Like if you're an elite troll, you say something and then you put your phone aside and you don't look at comments, you don't look at Reddit, you don't look at any of that. That's where you are the best, Brandon, is when you troll and put your phone aside.
So my tweet was right after the game, Auburn fans, keep your heads up. You're far and away the dirtiest program in the country, and your fan base is the most delusional group of jackasses in America, and you definitely deserve that shit. Stay positive. That's two happy messages and one sad.
All you needed to do is put respectfully afterwards, and that takes care of it.
Oh, I love it. It's up to 39 quote tweets. I'm so happy.
I'm gonna go quote tweet it right now, actually.
I saw Alabama fans being mad about that tweet. That's how good of a tweet it was. They were like, Alabama fans were looking at the tweet thinking like, man, Brandon went a little too far here.
Oh, Brandon, I'm going to go. Also, thank you for standing up for me tonight.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter.
I just love these quote tweets.
I got to say though, we are almost an hour in here. We haven't talked about Georgia. What they did today was very.
I'm getting there. They're. In fact, I didn't do them. I haven't done them yet on purpose, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay. We're up to 0.9, and they're 0.10. 9 is we often judge teams in September, early October, and we hold that judgment for the rest of the season. Even though that's not accurate. Teams change, teams evolve, teams get better, teams get worse, teams do a lot of different things during a season, but we will hold our first impression of a team and judge them all year. That being said, Wisconsin is now the team we thought they were in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever shows up from the East to play them in Indianapolis is going to have a fight on their hands, because Wisconsin has the best defense in the Big Ten, one of the best defenses in the country. Wisconsin has a running back now. They found a running back. They didn't have one earlier. Chase Malusi wasn't it. Jalen Berger, who got kicked off team, wasn't it. But this guy, help me out. Jalen something.
Edwards.
Huh?
Isn't it Edwards?
It's not Edwards. What's his name? Jalen. What's his name, Jack? 17-year-old running back for Wisconsin.
Braylon Allen.
Thank you very much. I had the
Allen.
Braylon Allen, 17-year-old. So they got the running back now. They got everything going. And Wisconsin has evolved into what we thought they would be the whole time.
Okay, so we're not going to do hypotheticals tonight, right?
We can do whatever.
What happens because Wisconsin has figured it the fuck out? No, okay, we're not doing it. Jack said no, we're not doing it. We'll do
that Tuesday. We'll do that Tuesday.
No,
okay.
I just don't like. They're good.
They're really good, Jack.
No.
Braylon Allen.
I'm not playing.
I asked
Nope.
Brandon tonight on the stream. I said, where do you right now, where we're sitting, where do you put Braylon Allen in running backs in the country? And he said he didn't put him in the top 10. However, like when you look at the stats of what he's doing right now, and I know it's a small sample size and I get that, but what Wisconsin's figured out with him is dangerous in their conference for sure. Am I saying they're going to beat Georgia? No. Am I saying they could? I don't know. But in the conference right now?
Well, I know they couldn't beat Georgia.
I don't think they can beat Ohio State or Michigan.
I think they, based on the fact that they've already played Michigan and would have some sort of idea, I would think they would have a better chance to beat Michigan. They would match up a little bit better with them than Ohio State. They don't have the athletes to match up with Ohio State. I think they match up a little bit better personnel-wise against Michigan. I would still favor Michigan. Anyway.
Brandon, I call you a lot of things.
Yep.
Mean, rude, kind, white knight.
Sure.
You know, whatever the day may be. But
Right.
you know what is a unanimous term for you?
What?
The king of sling.
Yes, please. The king of sling. It is my kingdom. And Katie's in the royal court. She's
Oh, well, I would say she's above you technically because she keeps you grounded in the court.
She runs the kingdom. I sit on the throne.
Yes, exactly. You know what? If this was like Game of Thrones of Sling TV, like there would be some dragons and shit, but for sure.
It's like unnecessary roughness. Like our names are on the logo, right? Mine and yours.
Yeah.
Those two actually do the shit.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Like when we hang up on this,
right?
You and I chill. They do the work. But on Sling, Katie.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening outside, but you know what? King of Sling.
Didn't sound great.
He would protect me.
Sling is fantastic. And you can watch the Brandon Walker College Football Show every Monday through Thursday night at 6 p.m. They've given us a great home. And in the process, I've gotten a lot of stoolies to sign up for Sling. It's a great deal, great variety, great way to get your television experience on.
Yeah, in the cord cutting world, which it's been for a long time, you can get everything at this point. You can get the Sling Blue plus Sports Extra package. You get Red Zone, NFL Network. You can get ESPN, FS1, TNT, all of it right now. And if you go to sling.com/barstool and you sign up, you can get your first month for starting at just $10, depending on what package you decide. And it's $35 a month, again, depending on what package. There's no contract. So if you want to try it for a month or two, you can, again, go to sling.com/barstool, sign up now, get your first month starting at just $10. You can get all your live TV, and you can see Brandon Walker and Katie on the Brandon Walker College Football Show, presented by Brandon Walker and Katie.
Starring Brandon Walker, the king of sling. One more team, and then we'll get to who was the team? Oh, Casey, we all love you, but you've been talking about A&M's going to Atlanta, and A&M could still compete for the playoff. What an egg that was tonight. Calzada is who we thought he was at the beginning. I mean,
first of all, he is hurt.
Oh, everybody's hurt. Every time a quarterback throws an interception this time of year.
There's nothing that I can say. There's nothing that I can say. But I will, like, there's nothing I can say to defend A&M, and I'm not going to try to. It was not Zach Calzada's fault that the defense did not, and I know this is like so cliche, did not get off the fucking bus for a quarter and a half. That defense looked awful in the first half.
You can't blame the defense.
I'm not blaming the defense. Like the defense.
It was 15 points until he started throwing picks.
I understand that, but like that first quarter, Brandon, they could not stop anything. And even when they could, and they came out in the second quarter, made a big stop, even in the second half. And I understand the offense couldn't do anything. The problem with what happened tonight, to me, was that A&M's, quote, wrecking crew defense, A&M's defense that is second in the country behind Georgia, couldn't stop Matt Corral as if they've never seen football before.
I don't know, Casey. Like they gave up 15 points. They gave up 15 points.
But okay, so you look at Matt.
Ole Miss's offense is good.
Matt fumbled in the red zone. He fumbled in the red zone.
They did have 400 yards in the first half, I think.
Yes, they had they had over like 200 rushing yards in the first quarter.
They should have scored like 28 to like even
So-
35. I think they.
Right.
But
So
Ole Miss's defense is awful, and you guys made them look like all pros.
That's also true.
And that's fair. That's fair. But if A&M's defense had held up the way that A&M's defense has looked all season, then it wouldn't have been as ugly. And on top of that, when it was 15-0 at halftime, it should have been 30. It should have been, or at least 28, because you look at, there was a fumble by Matt Corral that was recovered in the red zone, and then a 4th and 1 stop on the goal line, and then they had a safety. Like, it's just like, it should have been so much worse than it was. And I don't know what happened. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what happened. I don't think Ole Miss is that good, but what proved tonight was that A&M did not deserve to be in the playoff conversation, which I'm glad it happened now, to be honest, than in a few weeks. If they were to happen to win out and Alabama loses to Auburn and then they go get fucking shellacked by Georgia, like, at least it happened now. My expectations are down. No one gives a fuck. We're good. Alabama's going to Atlanta, and that's fine.
Yeah, I guess they are. I'm trying to. The SEC West is a mess. All right. Every point we've made so far, every argument, every team, everything kind of pales in comparison to the story of this season. Michigan might have won today. Ohio State might have won today. Georgia just keeps choking bitches out. Georgia is the only team that belongs in where we, every year we put these teams that are going to the playoff in this elite status, and we think, but everybody other than Georgia is flawed. Everybody other than Georgia has shown weakness. Everybody other than Georgia has shown that they've got something holding them back, and Georgia just keeps fucking rolling.
They are so unbelievably better than everyone else. It appears. It's almost offensive.
Jack has a counter, but before you counter, Jack.
That smirk, Jack. Okay, Brandon.
Hold on, before he counters, I got a counter to his counter. I'm gonna pre-counter his counter.
Before you counter his counter, can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
When Jack starts picking his hair the way that he does, he goes like this. He has a point.
I'm gonna pre-counter his counter.
Yeah.
You can tell me why Georgia isn't as good as we think in a minute, Jack, but I will say, if Kirby Smart's almost putting himself in a position, he is putting himself in a position. If he doesn't win it this year, he's going to look like that fan base might turn on him this time, because they are far and away the best team in the country right now. You don't think he's putting himself in a win or die situation?
No, you're so right. And you're like, the Georgia fan base so well, and all college football fan bases so well, that will happen. That's the correct prediction. You guys, like, this podcast has been a little bit, and rightfully so, a little bit anti-Kirby Smart for a little bit outside of this year where we're giving credit, but it's more so him in the massive games. And that's what we'll see. However, Kirby Smart, even if he loses an SEC championship game this year and then loses in the Natty, I still think he's one of the best coaches in the country. However, are they that much better? It kind of reminds me of 2018 Bama when they just looked unstoppable. And then they beat Kyler Murray's team, and then Trevor Lawrence just exposes them along with that Clemson.
Okay, all right, let me counter that.
Okay.
So in that year, Alabama looked up here and then got exposed by a team that was also elite and very, very good. I don't think that counterpunch exists for Georgia this year, unless, I guess, Ohio State might be the only one, in my opinion, who can do it. I don't know that, Alabama was Tyson that year, and Clemson turned out to be Holyfield. I think this year we've got a Tyson, and we got a bunch of 140-pound featherweights out there. I don't know that we have a heavyweight that can go toe-to-toe with them like Alabama had with Clemson that year.
No, yeah. And, I mean, you look back on that Clemson. I mean, that Clemson team was loaded too, and not just Trevor. I mean, T. Higgins. The defense had everybody on it. Dexter.
ETN, yeah.
Yeah, ETN.
Justin Simmons.
Christian Wilkins. Like they were loaded. We may just end up on January 13th or whatever when we record, sitting down and being like, we knew since September 21st or 28th that this team was just on a different level. However, I still think, like, I don't know, it's crazy, but I'm not writing off Alabama. Like, I still think their most dangerous game in the season is in Atlanta.
That's where I'm at. And I've been saying this, like, I feel like it's too chalk to say, and maybe it just is. Maybe 2021 is just going to be the year of Georgia. That's fine. But it feels like this year has so much parity and so much drama and so much craziness that if Georgia just waltzes through this season, wins the SEC championship, and just waltzes through the playoffs, that it would just be too weird. It would just be that's not how college football works. There's always somebody that like upsets somebody. And I don't know, like, I feel like it'd be too chalk. However, watching the way Georgia played today and Tennessee's offense early in the game obviously gave them problems. It's like, well, fuck, like, who's going to do that to them?
I have 4 more takes before we get to our one weekend, lost weekend shit list. This is off the radar, but I'm going to give credit to a coach and a guy. Mike Norvell at Florida State, they kind of blew a big lead today. They were against their rival Miami, who had a little juice all of a sudden. Miami had won 3 in a row. And Florida State's another team we left for dead. We left Mike Norvell for dead. We wondered I wondered why don't they go ahead and fire him and get somebody real in there. And he comes back and they win at the end, a quarterback sneak to beat Miami. Two mediocre football teams, but off the radar, I think it's a big win for Florida State.
Definitely. And we also talked about this at the Gambling Cave today, how sad it is that now in 2021, Florida State, Miami is an afterthought. Like that. And they fought in the middle of the field between the third and fourth quarter. Like that's like all of that rivalry should be big. And it's sad that both of those teams right now are so what?
Who's got their window open? Okay. Oh yeah, you've been smoking cigarettes. Of course you got your window.
No, that's not why I have my window open. It's nice outside. It's freezing actually. My toes are wanting to fall off, but
the this week's version of Credit to Michigan State, the phrase that would kill you if you did a drinking game every time Casey Smith said it. This week's phrase is, "We talked about it today in the Gambling Cave."
Why do you have to be so mean all the time? I'm
not being mean. I'm just saying. This is the phrase that has emerged this time. Credit to you.
You know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start keeping track of all the stupid shit you say and do.
That's
like
fine.
For real.
That won't take long.
As a female, and Katie, you know, females, we got receipts. I'm just going to start doing that because I see what we're doing here.
Good. Write it down.
Brandon, you got so mad that Rico called you Brendan today that you started screaming.
I think it's stupid.
Okay.
I think it's stupid. My name is Brandon.
I don't know. I hung out in the Gambling Cave today. There was a lot of things said.
I understand. I said this on the college football show, and nobody there was intelligent enough to get my argument. So I'm going to break it down here a little bit better. The committee is going to have a Notre Dame problem. They're going to have a Notre Dame problem because Notre Dame's not good enough to be in the playoff. You know it. I know it. But they're going to be sitting there with one loss. When these other teams lose, Notre Dame's going to be sitting there with one loss, and they're going to be sitting there like with a resume that isn't all that bad, and nobody in the world wants them in. Nobody thinks they should be in. The committee's going to have to make it a hard decision on Notre Dame to say, you know what, it just wasn't good enough. And it's Notre Dame, like they're a name program. The committee is – Notre Dame is what, a Stanford win and somebody else from being 11-1.
I don't know why you said I'm stupid because I agreed with you on that.
Well, okay, then the other two idiots, they couldn't understand what I was saying.
No, I agreed with you because
they thought I was predicting Notre Dame to make the playoff. What I'm saying is
you were saying they have a problem, and but we talked about that with with Cincinnati with the strength of their resume going into the college football playoff rankings 2 weeks ago. I do not think that Notre Dame has any type of danger for other teams making the playoff, but I do agree. Like the fact that they ranked them where they did, and their loss is to Cincinnati, who is as high as they are, of course there's an issue.
I mean,
especially now that Oklahoma's lost.
You don't have to. It doesn't take long to create a scenario where Notre Dame's just like sitting there with one loss and they're sitting at like number 5 or 6 because Oregon goes to Utah next week. Utah might be favored in that game. and Oregon goes to Utah, and then Alabama plays Georgia. Cincinnati has to play Houston and SMU. Like there's a lot of shit. If shit goes south, Notre Dame's going to be sitting there holding a bag, and it's going to look bad. It's going to look ugly because I don't think anybody thinks they're a very good team. Like they got lucky today. Brendan Armstrong didn't play a down, did he?
Nope.
I mean, they dodged a bullet there. They didn't have to play a good quarterback.
I'm trying to think of honestly, like, and I know now the SEC it looks like it's more sorted out. The Big Ten needs to sort itself out. I'm trying to think of what scenario.
I think
Notre Dame would be in.
I think the Big Ten is very, very neatly sorted out. I think the winner of Ohio State, Michigan is going to the playoff.
Unless they lose to Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship.
I think that's a 15% possibility.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe but Wisconsin's playing so well. I guess like you put that in there, but like, I still don't see what, so you've got, let's say undefeated Cincinnati. Let's say, I mean, Oregon is playing right now, right? Like so where would Notre Dame fit into that?
Well, it's just what I just laid out. Like if Oregon lost to Utah, if Alabama lost to Georgia, there's 2 spots, so it doesn't take long to start filling out spot. It doesn't take long to start opening up spots.
Depending on what happens in the Big Ten. But yes, no, you're absolutely right. And I don't think that I argued with you with that at all. It's just still like, because they lost to Cincinnati, I do feel like they've been written off. I don't see how they sneak in. Now the Big 12 is just, and I know I love using this word, drink every time I use this word, cannibalize itself to try to figure out like that. I don't see a Big 12 school making the playoff.
Oklahoma State could.
I guess with one loss, yeah, if they won out, they beat Oklahoma twice.
And that Oklahoma State might be the committee's best friend, because if they beat Oklahoma and then they beat somebody in the Big 12 title game, they already have a win over Baylor. They would leapfrog Notre Dame pretty easily. So they're a team that would kind of be the committee's friend in that situation. Anyway,
wait, hold on. They would leapfrog Notre Dame because of what?
They would have wins.
And also because they're in a Power 5 conference?
No, because they have wins.
Because they play in a Power 5 conference.
No, I don't think so. Like Notre Dame's schedule was fine.
The committee is obsessed with those conference championships, though. So if they won the championship,
last 2 takes. The boot is the worst trophy in organized sports. Do you like it?
I think it's awesome, and it also makes me know where Arkansas is on the map. If anyone ever asks me geographically, because I think of the boot, and so yeah, I think that boot is awesome. It's 24 karat gold, 170 pounds. It's a boot.
That thing's gold. I thought it was wood.
No, they might have been one in the past. This year, it's 170 pounds. They Pick 6 Previews tweeted it out. 170 pounds, 24 karat gold or something. So that's some expensive real estate in Louisiana and Arkansas.
It is gold this year.
Brandon, I will give you this. I do think it's the worst rivalry trophy because no one outside of those 2 teams even knows what it is.
No, I know it. I knew that was the boot game.
Well, but you're
plugged in. You're plugged in.
Yeah, you're plugged in. Like,
yeah, but I'm not plugged in.
Majority of college football fans, like casual, like, what's the boot game? They would not know. Now, it's a cool ass name. 1, 2. Obviously, the teams care, and if you're in that region of college football, then yes. But if you went to like random ass college football fans and were like, What's Bedlam versus what's the boot? Guarantee Bedlam. And that's still very regional.
Oh, did y'all know that Colorado State and Wyoming play for the bronze boot?
I didn't
No.
know that, but that's
No.
cool.
It's a much better looking. It's an actual boot.
Is it fully bronze?
Well, that one's cool.
Shit. That's a big foot.
Yeah. And my last take. Poor, the guy comes up once every 2 or 3 podcasts. Did you guys see Dan Wilkins' tweet?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
You talk
Dan
about
Wilkins,
the no breaks.
if I thought the biggest
motherfucker tweet. No, a different one.
No, not that one. I'm talking about the one tonight. Yeah, the motherfucker tweet was funny too. When he was he got all clutching his pearls about the coach, whatever. But he hates college football. That's whatever. But tonight he said, I gotta find it because I want to read it exactly how he said it.
He said new motto for Texas.
When he quote
No gas or all gas, not enough fiber, I think.
When
Where'd it
he
go?
censored motherfucker and said that was the most offensive thing he had heard, it was like the amount of former athletes and former coaches and everything. Like, have you ever been in a locker room ever?
Yeah,
Oh.
it was crazy. But yeah, all gas, no fibers. Texas new motto. I thought his biggest disconnect with fans was the fact that he hates college football and looks down on college football fans. But now I know that when he tries to be funny, it's an ugly scene.
I don't get it. What does that mean? No fiber?
I don't know what it means, Jack. I don't know.
I don't know what it means.
So
But
like,
can I
let's decipher it. No fiber would mean. No fiber
Does
would
it
mean
mean they're like
shit.
always
You
shitting the
can't
bed?
shit. You can't shit. So
No. Okay. No. Yeah. Fiber makes you shit.
yeah. So no fiber would mean you can't shit. You're
So they're
constipated. Yeah. So he's saying all gas, no fiber means all gas, constipated.
Okay. So I see in this situation, he's saying all gas. He's doing a playoff, all gas, no
Fiber
break.
makes you
Right?
regulate. Fiber makes you poop.
I don't like talking about this at all.
No, I'm trying to decipher it.
All right.
I will. Can I say this?
Oh, all
There is
gas.
a tiny percentage of me.
They're shitting themselves. I think he's saying yes.
Yes.
Good job. Shout out Katie. I think she's in here, but they're saying all gas. You're shitting yourselves, and that's what Texas did because they don't need fiber because they're shitting themselves all the time.
Casey.
There is a tiny percentage of me that, and I'm going to say 3%, that kind of thinks he knows what he's doing.
No,
none whatsoever.
None? No. I mean,
No.
I don't listen. 3%.
That guy is an idiot that should be covering musical theater in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
No.
Then how has he not been fired yet? If like, and listen, I agree.
They don't give a fuck.
3% is very small. He's 97% a fucking loser. But like, how do you not know?
Because he works at a newspaper, and newspapers don't matter in 2021. They're just lucky to get a paper out every day.
There.
All right. We'll go around the room, starting with what I can see. We'll start with Jack. Jack, who won the weekend?
Jack, what's behind you?
It's just like the game time room. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a stuffed animal.
I thought
that's like Kurt, like something from Mario Kart. It's Stetson Bennett. When it was a little bit closer in the game, I was seeing a lot of tweets like, "Got to get JT Danielson, got to get him in," especially after he ran on like third down, missed like 2 wide open guys. There's a lot of like pictures on Twitter saying like, "Oh, you got to get him in the game." Like, "Oh, we missed these 2 guys for a touchdown. Got to get JT in the game if they want to beat Tennessee." After that, I think he outscored Tennessee 41-0. I think because I think it was 10-7 at that point. Maybe it was 10-10. But yes, that's in bed.
Casey Smith, who won the weekend?
Well, you already said it, but Michigan, so I won't steal it from you. No, I'm going to say, Michigan did. Obviously, Michigan. Well, actually,
No, I'm not saying Michigan. You can have them.
Oh, you're not? Okay. No, I think Michigan did because there's a lot of people who said that, and because Penn State doesn't technically have anything to play for other than just a better bowl game at this point. Jeff D. Lowe was with us today. Not going to say the word because if somebody had to drink, whatever. But Jeff D. Lowe was like, oh, we're playing for the Pinstripe Bowl. Penn State has the opportunity to upset these teams to make ruckus in the Big Ten, and Michigan finished it. Now, it wasn't a pretty game. There were a lot of moments where they didn't look like they should win. But I do believe because Michigan State lost last week and because Michigan State struggled a little bit today, Michigan won because going into Thanksgiving weekend in Ann Arbor with Ohio State, the way that Ohio State played today, it's going to be a massive game. And I think that they proved that they deserve to be in that conversation.
Katie, stats. Who won the weekend?
Obviously I agree with everyone that's been said, but I'm just gonna say Kansas and Lance Leipold. It's just a huge win. It's good for Texas good for people for beating Texas. Also, it's just great. I think when obviously college football is better when Texas is good, but for social media, it is so much fun to make fun of them. But nothing personally against Texas. Yeah, nothing personally against you, Texas. It's just it's just so
Katie,
fun, and it's
personally, Katie, say it personally. It's for your job, for the job. It's great.
National unbiased reporter.
Yeah, national unbiased reporter. It's great to make fun of Texas.
The answer is
bring the horns down.
The answer is Kansas, but I gotta shout out a team we have not mentioned at all because they kind of won the weekend too. Wake Forest lost last week, and they could have come back out and showed they're a pretender. They could have packed it in. They came back out at home. They beat NC State, who's a good football team, and they kept themselves in the race for the ACC championship. So Kansas won the weekend. I mean, how often can you say that? So when you can say that, you should say that. And I know that Kansas is a laughing stock, and there's somebody that we laugh at throughout college football. But I said it in the summer. I'm going to say it now. They got their hire right. That guy can coach.
And you've been saying that. Again.
That guy can fucking coach. And he needed something. He needed a result to hang his hat on. He almost got it with Oklahoma, but now he did get it with Texas. And they're not going to win 9 games next year, but they might win 4. And they're not going to win 9 games next year, but they might win 6. I think he can actually do something at Kansas. He can have a respectable program at Kansas.
Well, and that's why, we talked about it earlier, but it's if he would have just almost beaten Oklahoma, an aberration, right? We talked about that with Oklahoma all week, that was an aberration. Almost beaten Texas or even beaten Texas, an aberration. The fact that he did both in the same year, and I understand Texas stinks, they're not going to make a bowl game, fine. But it's not an aberration. He's getting this team together to get up for these big name schools in his conference that, like we said, maybe Bob Bowlesby is like, hey, you want to ruin this for a second before they go to the SEC? But he's done it now with 2 big time programs that have no business being in the conversation with losing to Kansas.
We'll go in reverse order here so nobody steals mine again. I'll lead off. Who lost the weekend? You can cover your ears if you want to, but to me, it's Jimbo Fisher. Everything to play for, and just came out not ready on either side of the ball. You can say the defense sucked in the first half, and that's true. They did. They gave up 400 yards, but one of the reasons they gave up 400 yards was their offense couldn't stay on the field. Their offense was not ready to play. They have 2 great running backs. They didn't run it enough, and then towards the end of the game, Texas A&M's down 15-10. They got the ball on the 10-yard line. With 7 minutes left, you've got the best running backs in the league, and you trust a freshman quarterback who throws two picks in the last 5 minutes. You lose going away. Jimbo Fisher, he said he was going to beat Alabama's ass, and he did it. And it put them in line to do everything they wanted to do this year. They have a good defense, and he went to Oxford and laid a fucking egg. He lost the weekend. And anytime a coach that gets paid as much as he does blows it like that, I think he has to be called out. Katie, who lost the weekend?
I have a few, honestly, so I'll do the backup and I'll do what someone else doesn't do.
You're passing?
No, I'm saying I have 3 or 4 I could list. So I'm gonna see what other people have, and then I can do the other. I'm not gonna steal them all.
I mean, I'm
For the
obviously
passing?
I'm obviously going to say Texas A&M. I mean, I there's nothing else I can say. Like what he just said is true. And I used the buzz phrase earlier, but it is battered Aggie syndrome. It's exactly like they lost to Arkansas. They lost to Mississippi State. I know you hate it, but it's true. Like I buried this team. Katie was in my hotel room in Chicago and I was like, this team stinks. They're done. Who cares? And even today, I was still thinking they could make it to Atlanta, and they go in and they look embarrassing in Oxford. They can't do shit. And it's just like the ESPN crew today did a fucking Christmas tree graphic of every single assistant coach Nick Saban has ever had that could never beat him. And the star on the fucking top of the tree was Jimbo Fisher. And it was like, oh, we did it this year. And then they fucking lose to Ole Miss. Like, obviously A&M's the loser. I'm the loser. Fine, whatever. It is what it is. Used to it my whole life.
Jack.
There was a team that played on national television this past week on Friday night that had a chance to really say, oh, you guys really want us to win by 50 points? We'll win by 50 points. Cincinnati did not do that. They ended up winning by 17, which, all things considered, not the worst performance of all time. However, when you have that national TV spotlight, it was on ESPN2, but still national TV. Go out there, win by 40 points. You're playing South Florida. They stink. And, so Cincinnati lost.
What's wrong with you?
Huh?
What's wrong with you?
I'm tired. I'm rubbing my eyes. What? He's doing his thing. Why are you stopping him?
Well,
No. Yeah,
it's on camera.
Cincinnati.
I'm rubbing my fucking eyes. I'm tired. What do you want me to do?
Cincinnati, yeah. So I still think they probably, maybe as I'm talking, I'm thinking about Notre Dame and whatnot. So they are continuing the rise. So like they may have benefited from that, and also Oklahoma losing. But I still think they leave a little bit to be desired, and that could come back to bite them. However, if they save those performances against SMU and Houston, that will help.
Katie, you now have all 3 draft picks.
Just these 2, Dan Mullen and Steve Sarkisian. Like, my question, I'll turn this into what I wanted to end of the podcast, but who is the next head coach that gets fired?
Justin Fuente.
Fuente, who'd you say, Casey?
Dan Mullen.
Jack, who do you think is going to be?
The next coach fired.
Sark has time.
Oh, no, I know who it is. I'm sorry. I think he's getting fired tomorrow.
Oh, no. Jimmy Lake will be fired.
Jimmy Lake.
Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. I've actually seen tweets of people who have broken other Washington news. They expect for him to be fired tomorrow. Okay. Well, I was looking for more on the Dan Mullen Sarkisian side, but there was a lot of debates on Twitter that was like, with this, like, there's not an excuse of it being the first year for Sark. There's like genuine, it's not maybe the majority, but I'd say about 30 to 40% of tweets are like, he could be fired. Like, it doesn't matter if it's his first year.
Can I just say, there is 0% chance he's fired.
Zero.
Negative.
I would, unless it comes out that he had like a scandal.
Right.
Yeah, unless he was doing something in the locker room with somebody he shouldn't have been doing something with.
Brandon, we don't need to go into details.
No.
Scandal.
I say -% chance. However, the last time I did this,
scandal, Brandon.
the last time I did this with Katie was with the total in Iowa, Wisconsin, and she was proven right. So who knows? That would be chaos. So I wouldn't complain.
Shit list time.
Just the Kansas losing. It's 5 losses in a row in Kansas. That's what I would not be surprised either way.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Relax.
What did I do?
You know what you did.
You heard it?
Yes, I heard it.
I know. I was trying to do they wouldn't stop talking. I didn't know they got through.
That's why you put yourself on mute when you do it.
No, I like to do the come in joke, like somebody's knocking on the door. It's my favorite dad joke.
Wild stat. Just 2 things before we get to the shit list. The guy who caught the winning pass for Kansas tonight, thanks to Katie, she sent this to me, was a walk-on that didn't play a snap for Kansas until tonight.
I think it was a snap on offense. He hasn't played a snap on offensive yet. It's only been defense or like very limited.
He's a fullback / tight end. So maybe he played on special teams. I would assume he's not playing defense if he's a fullback / tight end. And then Sark, after the game tonight, was asked, this will just be my shit list so we can keep it going. Texas football coach was asked if players have turned him out, which I think the guy just meant like turned on him. Sarkisian said,
Tuned him out.
know. What?
He meant tuned him out, right?
Tuned him out. Thank you. Tuned him out. Sarkisian said, I don't know. You'd have to ask him that question. Not the best answer. You got to be better than that, Sark. I know you just lost to Kansas, but like after you lose to Kansas, everything you say is under a microscope, and you failed that test. So, Sark, you're on my shit list. I really believed in you coming to this year, and you've proven me an idiot, which, I mean, it wasn't hard to do.
Casey.
I have two.
Okay.
Number one, Katie, myself, for throwing you under the bus on the college football show, for not really reading your stats, and I apologize.
All good.
And I mean, I know we've hashed this out, but I want to put myself on it. It was a bad misunderstanding that turned into a whole ass thing that didn't need to. So my number one is myself for you, because I love you and I would never do that to you on purpose. Number two, Oklahoma fans, because when Spencer Rattler wasn't playing well and they were like chanting to bench him, and he handled it very well in the press conference. And then, they had to like give him like a mental health break, which again, like I'm not going to poo poo because I don't know how bad it is, but they did do that. They put Caleb Williams in. And then today, when Caleb Williams isn't playing well, they start chanting, "We want Spencer." I can honestly not say, and maybe I'm wrong and maybe somebody can prove me wrong, I cannot remember a massive fan base, a massive name like Oklahoma in the same year chanting for and against a quarterback. And I know it's the minority, and Jack, we've talked about this. Like, I know it's not like the entire stadium, but the fact that it's loud enough for a TV broadcast to pick up tells you there's enough people that think that. And that's a fucking problem for me. Like 5 weeks ago, you wanted this guy benched and never to see him again. And now you're chanting for him and you still lose the game. Like, get it together, dudes. Like, it's not okay. So Katie and Oklahoma fans, done.
All right, Katie.
Well, myself for Katie, but yes.
I would probably say Dan Mullen in his post-game press conferences and I get, so the quote that he gave is that calling a win disappointing is disrespectful to the game, which is like, read the room. It is very much like, you just know better. I know he was like dancing. My thing is, the last time we saw a coach dancing in the locker room like that was Gus Malzahn, got fired the next day. Got Dan Mullen. Like, I get a win is a win. Someone to celebrate you came back. But not like, you should not be dancing. You should go in, clap your hands a few times, be like, you know what, we did it, we pulled through, see you whenever. But you should not be dancing like that after that performance. And then that quote on top of it, no.
All right, my shit list is back to somebody we talked about at the top of the show. It is, in fact, Lincoln Riley. You are the Oklahoma Sooners head coach. You have national title aspirations every single year. The last thing you need to be doing is appearing to have sour grapes or appearing to be whiny when someone has beaten your ass. And Baylor beat your ass. And you're sitting there arguing with the refs because people are on the field. You're in your post-game press conference saying, I wouldn't have done that field goal. Nobody gives a shit what you would have done because the guy who beat your ass did kick the field goal. You're the Oklahoma head coach. Shouldn't be losing. You've got it recruited. You've got everything. You've got enough talent. You guys should be winning these games, and you can't be whining just because something happened at the end that hurt your little feelings. Get to the playoff, win a fucking game, and then worry about your feelings, Lincoln Riley.
It was so ridiculous. It was, and like, again, I understand why Baylor would want to run up the score because score differential or whatever. Like, just let it happen, dude. Just like, let it happen. Shut the
All
fuck
right.
up.
Y'all ready? We good? All right. That's pretty much it. Next week, we've got Ohio State, Michigan State. We've got, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I guess I could look.
Ton of SEC cupcake games per usual.
Yeah. I guess that is in fact true too. So yeah, I'll just pull it up real quick and just fly through it.
We have Wake Forest, Clemson, Michigan State, Ohio State,
Thank you.
Iowa State at Oklahoma.
Oregon, Utah. Oh, SMU, Cincinnati. So that's a big moment for Cincinnati at home.
Arkansas, Alabama.
Yeah, they got that in the SEC. The SEC is the one that's kind of failed with the marquee matchups this year. It hasn't really delivered many marquee matchups.
This year, every year is the one that everyone talks shit about the SEC. Or this week.
A&M's got Prairie View.
Yeah, no, I know. This is the cupcake week that everyone's like, oh, why would you do that?
Prairie View.
We got Oregon and Utah, like we mentioned earlier.
Yep. So again, the slate just not looking as strong on paper as you'd like it to, but you never know. It's still college football, and it will still give us something to celebrate by the end of the day. All right. That's them. I'm me. That was unnecessary roughness.